fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
All right, and welcome back, team, for the fourth night of our 8-week racing program brought to you by SimSpeed. Scotty Fountain and the team helping us out there for the fourth week in a row. Liquid Action bringing you our KartSport events along with the support of Tony Hurst at Cook Strait Crossings. Myself, Tony Chambers, in the commentary box tonight. Obviously, usual suspects of Simon Evans joining me as well. Our good friend David Serra isn't joining us this evening, and neither is Tiff as well. They've all got other commitments, but we've got a very special guest. Good to have a good buddy of mine, Hamilton man, Chris Vanderdrift. Welcome along, fellas.
Hey, how you going?
Excellent.
Yeah, good to be back, TC. Obviously, we saw some pretty good racing last week with the F3s, and we've got a whole new set up again tonight. So new cars. We've got the Skip Barbers, which go really cool, almost like a Formula First or a Formula V with but with a couple of wings on it, and a new tight circuit as well. It sort of reminds me a lot like Timaru, so quite cool. But yeah, really cool to have Chris along, mate. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, good to be here, guys. A bit different story on this side of the screen tonight, but looking forward to it, and we'll see what sort of action we're following tonight.
Yeah, most definitely, Chris. And obviously, you've got a huge Formula car pedigree. I've followed most of your stuff probably since 2004 when you sort of first initially got into Formula BMW. So we'll touch on a lot of that because you've got a list of Formula cars that you've raced longer than sort of Simon's receipt at Solbar one evening. So we'll get stuck into that because it's a really, really cool resume. And but as Simon mentioned, obviously we've got with the Skip Barber cars running at Tsukuba circuit here in the 2000 layout. Race format tonight, team. We've got 20 minutes of qualifying, 15 lap heat first up, and then into a 25 lap final. Grids carrying over from the first heat. So as you said, Simon, new formula tonight. Straight away we're looking at some onboard here from Isaac Fletcher. Very similar to, as you said, a Formula V, and you can see straight away the cars have got a fair amount of understeer in them. So I'd say they're going to be quite a balanced car once again. Personally, a car I haven't driven. No doubt yourself and Chris have driven this car at some stage, and I think it's going to look going to be a fantastic Formula run as we see Zane Hills on board here, Simon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Tony, obviously one thing you notice as well is quite a skinny little tyre on it, so the car really likes to move around. A little bit of drafting here. We don't have super long straights, but it's we're still. I'm sure we're going to have a good night's racing. So we'll have a couple of different servers up tonight. So we'll, after this qualifying session, we'll have a mix of and a bit of a break while we sort the grids, and then we'll be running the fastest server once again. I mean, thank you, Chris. This is probably almost similar to your Formula BMW that you raced probably 15, 20
Yeah, looking at it, I mean, I've never actually driven cars like this. As such, the BMW had sort of wider slicks on them, but yeah, these look a bit loose and all pretty much the same sort of power and whatnot. So I think it should create some pretty good racing later on. Just looking at this onboard, though, I don't know about that R clip down the steering wheel. Doesn't look that safe, does it?
Americans love R clips, so they put R clips on everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, as you see, Chris, a lot of your stuff has been run on a slick, on a much wider platform. You can see, the detail that iRacing provides. You can actually see it's virtually a radial or a car tyre. So
looks like it should be on the back of my kart trailer, when you look at it like that. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, very similar to probably most of the cars you've imported, like a winter tyre coming out of Japan or something. Yeah. So I think given that, I think they're going to be a good leveler. Not a very high horsepowered car. As you can see, the car's moving around quite a bit. The Aston Phipps entry here, sponsored by Oreo tonight. So once again, it's going to be another night of some fantastic liveries. And you can see the cars moving around. So going to be hopefully some action, and we don't see too many canoes tonight, Simon.
Yeah. Obviously, let's see with a bit of a moment here, and off just saves it off the fence there, so not too much damage. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who's drummed up a lot of sponsorship over the week. We saw some interesting ones last week. Old Jaden Ransley, who we're following here, double race winner, had the Tom and Jerry sponsorship. So let's see if they've committed to another week. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. We've got a few familiar names up again, as Jaden just feeds them wide. Pretty standard of Jaden, to be fair. But yeah, looking at the names on our left-hand side there, Mitch Sparrow's back once again, Isaac Fletcher, Daniel Harvey, I think that's Jackson Harvey driving that entry. Our own Trevor Smith is in there. Our little wee man midget, it looks like Ryan Bailey has jumped in here, so hopefully he can reach the pedals and he might be able to get full throttle and into that top server tonight.
Yeah, as you said, obviously we've got a number of different servers running tonight as well too. So between Scotty and Travis and all the guys in the background running the whole show for us, they'll sort of let us know when they can or if they can, sort of what's happening with the different servers. But obviously all the visuals that we'll be here tonight from the fastest server. And as we go on board here with Ryan Bailey, Ryan obviously originally hailing from sort of Hastings area and then Palmerston North around that, used to do a lot of his karting in that area as he locks her right front into the heavily banked right-hander and went through a lot of different motor racing platforms. Recently probably the last thing he drove was a Trans Am at the V8 Supercar event at Pukekohe last year. So Ryan, while he doesn't do a huge amount of driving these days, has quite a big motor racing pedigree behind him. And as we've said all along, guys, you've got the likes of someone that's experienced like Ryan Bailey that's driven a lot of stuff, racing against young Junior Max and Vortex Mini Rock drivers. So that's where this KartSport event is really good. It can bring all those drivers together that normally wouldn't be racing against one another, Simon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then we'll see exciting news out today as well for everyone to whatever about what's happening. Club racing back from June 13th, so actually not too far away. So. But we're still going to be carried on the size KartSport event for a few more weeks. But be quite cool that probably young karters will be they'll be seeing guys around the circuit who they've been racing online. Then they'll be able to watch them and cheer them on at the circuits soon. So good news out today, and we should hopefully be at level 1 soon. But Vandy, you've got your kart team now, and you run a couple of different makes of chassis.
Yep, yeah, that's right. We're actually out at Rotorua today, so I went down I was chomping at the bit for a few weeks now to get out in the karts, and went down there with Brendan, joined us, and went for a pound around there, and that was good fun to get back in the kart again. And yeah, just same with all our guys too. We just sort of been waiting to see when we can go out and start racing again, or even just cutting some test laps, really.
Yeah, it's we've obviously seen one of your drivers, young Eaton Williams, has been running on the KartSport events, and a couple of nights ago was going really well on the MX5s until he sort of had a few dramas with some lap markers and bits and pieces. But young Eaton's been going well, and obviously with your help as well too, his karting looks like he's been having some great success as well too there.
Yeah, it's been great to help these guys and getting along, and he's been running the DVS class, mostly the junior DVS class, and just going along, and I've been doing a bit myself as well, and it's quite cool to compare. Though he's a bit lighter than me, he's a quick little kid and he's doing real well and just keeps improving. So yeah, it's good to help these guys and good to be involved with them.
Yeah, that's right, and you can't beat staying in the seat as well yourself. So it's good for you, driving your own product, and so you can actually obviously learn about its setup characteristics and what have you, and obviously good to keep your hand in it as well for eventually, hopefully, when you can get back up to Asia and start racing back up there as well, mate, I would imagine.
Yeah, karting is just great value. What you can do in a day, and you always from comparing it to cars and karts, you just get so knackered driving the kart all the time, and it's just full on, and it's great to be there, and you can it's just so fast off the spot, and yeah, it just keeps you sharp really. Which although sim racing is great too, which you can do that from the seat of your home. But you're getting out. There's nothing like the real thing, out in the fresh air and going and cut some laps.
Yeah, very much so. No, I completely agree. You sort of, especially all those boys that have, we've got plenty of guys like yourself that are chafing at the bit to get back overseas and various formulas that they're running. And in between times, there's been plenty of sim racing going on that we've all been watching on various sort of Twitch accounts and various platforms. It's certainly made for good viewing, even though they're probably rather driving the real thing like yourself. So. So obviously we've got a little bit shy of 8 minutes to run here in our qualifying session. So 15 minutes the length of 20 minutes is the length of qualifying tonight. And as Simon said, some really familiar names. Isaac Fletcher there, P1. Jaden Ransley. Jaden's probably done plenty of testing this week. He's been probably done the most track laps than anyone over the KartSport series, and the results certainly show. Zane Hills, the Auckland-based senior Max driver there. Daniel Harvey, driving out of Dunedin. Sam Dunstall, obviously a name that we've seen every week. Gareth Exton, so obviously that's young William Exton entry there. Mitchell Sparrow out of Auckland. Aston Phipps out of Auckland. So some really familiar names popping up in there. And right down to position 13, we've got Trevor Smith, one of our own men, and behind the scenes here helping us run the show here, Simon.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right, Tony. So another great grid. It'll be interesting to see who pops out from the other server and comes across here. But obviously, it's interesting, Chris. Obviously, you run a few guys like junior karters and that, and we've spoken about the past few weeks in terms of while the cars are different and they're not going to take much away from that, the racecraft is what they can learn on this simulator racing and virtual racing is probably quite crucial to what they can actually take forward to the kart track or racetrack. I mean, has Ayrton said anything like that, or do you think that might be down the track where he might think back and go, I learned to set up a pass 2 corners before from an iRacing move that he did in the KartSport day?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, with karting, cars or sim racing, everything's basically got a steering wheel and you're driving around left and right corners. So there's always things that working on passing in racecraft, which is probably one thing that's probably easier in sim racing actually in that degree. You can sort of play with people and have it set it up and go through scenarios like that and just thinking forwards. And like some of these races, sim racing, I find that it can be quite long and you like easily lose your concentration and you can sort of doze off and think about what's for dinner or what's going on tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you're in the wall. So that sort of stuff, it helps you sort of keep your mind in focus and doing that. So it'll actually be interesting to see how everyone jumps back into the karting again, and how they are at the track and over the weekend, and whether they have any more focus actually, I'd say.
Yeah, some really good points there. It'd be interesting to just to touch base with a few of these guys in a few months' time and see how this has helped them. But I just noticed there someone's got one of Mitch's old liveries on there. So
who's that actually? Number 9.
Super cool. Number 9. Who's the number 9?
Stephen,
is that?
Yeah,
Stephen Beaumont. So it's quite cool
livery?
to see all these different. Yeah, I think that's he ran that in TRS here. Obviously, super cool car. So wouldn't forget Banklink. So long time supporters of us. So quite cool to see all these liveries popping up. Obviously, a few old F1 liveries on there as well. So super cool, and that's the unique thing about iRacing. But just just noticed that Jaden Ransley has popped up to the top here. But Chris, he's been doing a lot of simulator racing, well, iRacing in general. I mean, every time I pop on, I see his name on there. I mean, he was doing some oval racing with us last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Especially at the start on that first 4 weeks in lockdown, I was on there quite a bit as well, and I've sort of tailed off a little bit the last week or two, getting back to normal life. But yeah, you see some of these names, which they're always cutting laps, and I suppose with the sim racing, the more you do, the better you are at it too, and especially changing between classes and tracks and stuff like that. So there's a lot of content on here to go through. So fair play to those guys.
I'd probably imagine that Jaden Ransley's parents would probably nearly have like Spark or Vodafone sponsorship on that car, because he'd be tearing through some data, I tell you. The amount of racing that he's doing at home. So, but it's much like the real thing. The more track time you do, you certainly hone your skills and get used to the various characteristics of the different cars and everything that you're driving. I know that the one time that I have played it, sort of ran the MX-5 and actually had to go at a midget in Knoxville and a couple of other the American speedway circuits, and having raced TQ at Western Springs myself, was only over one season, but the characteristic of a dirt car was very similar to what it was in real life. So I'm not a huge gamer myself, but certainly the experience that I had with it was very true to life, and iRacing obviously put a hell of a lot into obviously scanning the tracks and depicting how the cars actually act in real life. I was quite impressed with it, Simon.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? So obviously just under 4 minutes remaining now. Obviously we'll see a lot of these guys. I see Jane Ransley just gone faster as well, so he's dropped another 2 tenths over Isaac Fletcher. Obviously a lot of these guys will be out burning a bit of fuel in that. Remember, obviously we've got the off-track limits here as well in qualifying, which is really tough. But looks like we've just had a bit of a lock-up moment there. I think there was Rylan Bailey right behind him. But what I just noticed as well, it's quite interesting that Isaac Fletcher is actually trailing or following Jaden. So he's going to be using him as quite a good carrot, really, to see if he can improve his lap time. Probably not quite in the draft, but pretty good move from him in there to chase, because he's obviously Jaden's the fastest guy. So there's quite a good little trick you do in qualifying, isn't it, Chris? You've probably done that quite a few times over the years, following the fast guys. You can always learn a lot.
Yeah, it helps for sure, and especially braking markers, and sometimes in this iRacing, some special little lines where maybe not in the real world it wouldn't work as well, but you can take the curb in the right way or something, and you think, there's a few tenths here and there, and with the cars being this close in speed, every little tenth helps. So you're always looking to try and get a bit more out of it.
Yeah. You can see that the characteristic of the cars certainly tend themselves. They can actually turn the car on the brake, which for me that's quite a cool characteristic. It certainly tells you the car's quite well balanced. Hasn't got a big oversteer or tries to lock the rears on turn in or anything like that. So they should provide some really good racing. As we've only got just around 2 minutes to go in our first qualifying, our only qualifying run of the evening, and obviously our grids out of this are going to lead us into our first 15-lap race. And obviously you got our chocolate fish to be giving away as well too. We'll come up with some winners of that over the evening and get those out to people during the week. Some great support there with some product to be giving away, and obviously our usual partners, Giltrack Group, there up on our live timing, as well as Carter's Tyres, big supporters of KartSport New Zealand and the KartSport events over the last 4 weeks there, along with Liquid Action and Cook Strait Crossings there, Si.
Yep, yeah, great to have all our sponsors on board. Remember, obviously, it's important to support those that support us and our sport that we love. So, as we follow here, Daniel Harvey looks like he's just come out of the pits. I think that's Jackson Harvey. So he's going to be trying to get don't think he's going to quite make it around to the start line with a minute to go. So, a bit disappointing. It looks like he'll be starting where he is, potentially in fifth, depending if anyone can go faster. But we'll see if anyone's on the last lap burning out, see if they can pop themselves up, and then we'll sort out the two servers. So leading in the top 10 there, so got Ashton Fitzentry in 10th, Mitch Sparrow 9th, Leo Scott, Stephen Beaumont, Jackson Harvey, Gareth Exton, obviously a familiar name, Sam Dunstall has been very fast, Zane Hills, Isaac Fletcher, and Jaden Ransley. Looks like he's just gone faster again when the only one in the 1019 bracket. So he's continually pump out some fast lap times, but it looks like he's bailed out of that now. So quite a cool session. It looks like, yeah, it's a really tight little circuit here, and carry momentum is going to be the key. But Isaac Fletcher has managed to, he'll be on his last flyer here, so he'll be hoping to try and pit Jaden here as he comes into the second to last hairpin. Quite crucial to get a drive out of here. This is the longest straight on the circuit, but being obviously it's quite a slow apex, power down is the key. This final corner here, I've driven on the circuit before, is quite a tricky one. The car really dances on the way in. You sort of brake as the apex and see plenty of understeer on the old girl. As he weans it out, and let's see how he can go as he crosses the line. And no, it doesn't look like he can go any faster. But yeah, you haven't driven these cars, Chris, on the old Skip Barber?
Nah, just not in real life, but I've done one race actually in iRacing a few weeks back, and that was pretty chaotic, to be honest. But they're good little fun cars, and although they're not massively fast, they're really well balanced, and you can sort of throw them around and get a bit sideways, and it does create actually good racing. So that's where sometimes these slower sort of cars are actually better to race with in big groups, because you do get good passing, and you got guys that are able to run different lines everywhere, which is quite cool, especially when you're in racing with people.
That's right, and obviously that concludes our 20-minute qualifying session there, team, and we'll get our all our different servers combined, and we'll get all our grids up and get ready for our 15-lap race coming up very shortly. And as Chris was just saying, obviously running the Skip Barber Formula 2000 car, so effectively our Formula V equivalent, if you like, here in New Zealand. A very good stepping stone, and a lot of young drivers that, not so young anymore, but a lot of drivers like SVG and all those type of guys cut their teeth in Formula V. So certainly is a good stepping stone, and we'll sort of see how our young drivers perform in this formula tonight, Si.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like I say, it's the stepping stone, like Formula First or Formula Ford, straight out of karting. So teaches you a lot about mechanical grip, which is so crucial going forward. And I think that's why a lot of New Zealand guys go incredibly well overseas, because we've got such a obviously we have such a competitive nature here in KartSport, and then they step out and move forward into like Formula First, where they learn about braking and heel towing and that. So really, really crucial that next phase. But we'll just go to a quick ad break here, guys, and then we'll be back shortly, and then we should have the grid all sorted, and we can run you through our starting grid for our race tonight for the iKart Virtual Club Day. So back soon.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything else. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Okay, team, welcome back. A little break after qualifying, just sorting out all those servers. So we've got all the servers sorted. We're actually going to be running one server tonight there, team. We're capped at 36, I think it was, Travis said. So we've got one server running, which is great. So she'll be all on for young and old for our first 15-lap race tonight. As we discussed before, obviously the car we're running, Skip Barber Formula for those that have just joined us. So the equivalent of New Zealand's Formula V. So a really, really good formula for those that are experienced and even those that are just getting started in iRacing. Not a very high horsepowered formula car running on virtually a radial or a road tyre. So the cars move around a lot. You know, we've obviously got Chris Vanderdrift joining us in the commentary box tonight. He's driven the car a lot on the iRacing platform and gave us a good description of the how the car works and its characteristics. So we're looking forward to not some fast action, but we should have plenty of passing and plenty of action tonight there, Si.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. So that's what it's about, you know, for everyone coming up, keeping, you know, mentally fit in terms of, you know, racecraft and that, and obviously we've got a couple length races as well. So we're not having the reverse grid race tonight. We're just going to be having the sort of the carryover, the rollover from the finishing to where you finish in the first race over to the second race. So just to mix it up, keep everyone on their toes, and that's going to be so crucial for, you know, making sure you stay clean in that first race. You know, you don't want to be, you can't now have a bad race and then, you know, benefit for the second one. So just like karting, you know, you need to maximize every race. But yeah, great to have Chris join us as well. And for those watching and on the Facebook, you know, we're going to try have a few more New Zealanders, guest commentators over the week, you know, who've come up through karting. So feel free to pop in the comment section who you would like to have join us, because it'd be, you know, great to have, you know, some other international Kiwis join us, because, you know, KartSport is where everyone started, and it's everyone still has a really neat passion for it. So we just got a few more minutes here left, just a quick practice for the guys in this one server, and then we'll be straight into the race. But yeah, obviously, Chris, not having a reverse grid, you really need to be clean on that first race, don't you? Otherwise, it makes for a pretty long old night.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard slog when you get punted down the back or you get into some chaos. So it'll be just like in our racing. There's a lot of the times if you're safe sort of through the first few corners and you get past all the mess, then you can generally have some pretty good racing after that. Once everyone sort of slots into their own pace and you get a bit of a rhythm going, and then yeah, you got to try and have two good races tonight, obviously. But the first good race, you have to do the best you can and be up the front.
So we're sort of obviously doing Dave. Sarah's been joining us previously. He's got a couple of young guys that he looks after in Australia, Chris, and a couple of them do a little bit of sim racing and stuff. And he said there's that many different types of simulators and wheels and pedals and monitors and stuff. Obviously, the simulator that you've got, can you tell us a little bit about it? You know, what it's like compared to some of the really expensive ones, or compared to some of the gear that some of these guys will be using?
Yeah, so it varies. I mean, you can have off-the-shelf like gear, like the Logitech style 920 wheels, or you can go right up to the direct drive motors, which will set you, you know, back a good go-kart already. So I mean, it's pretty much unlimited of what you can spend. You can do the big triple screen monitors and all sorts of stuff. So it's basically, I mean, whatever you've got at home, you can make it work to your liking. You get into a bit of a rhythm and you set your own gear up, and just how you view stuff might be different to like how you like to drive a sim. So it's all just spending a bit of time really and seeing what you feel comfortable with, and then you sort of go on from there. There's always stuff you can do to make life a bit easier for the sim racing. At the moment, I've only got a little single monitor, a little curved single monitor, So I'll look to probably get 3 monitors of that just so you can see out the sides a bit more, especially when you start doing a bit more like dirt style racing or oval racing, where you need to know who's beside you and where the gap is and things like that. Otherwise, you get caught up quite easily.
Yeah, it certainly was a sort of a big influx of sim racing in those last couple of weeks of our sort of level 4 lockdown. And I think young Ollie Workman, that he might pop up tonight, he sort of got half his sim. So he did the first couple of KartSport events actually driving off his keyboard of all things.
Yes. Yeah.
So fair play to him. Like, I actually struggled when I had a good simulator underneath him, let alone driving on a keyboard. So as you said, there's plenty of different setups that everyone can run, and it's sort of how you utilize it, how you engineer it to suit yourself. And to be fair, I could probably have the grasses sim out there and probably still be last, so it wouldn't be helping me.
All the gear and no idea, ATC.
That's exactly right. Nothing's changed, mate. Nothing's changed. So here we are. So we've got our grid for our first 15-lap race here, team. So no surprises. Jaden Ransley, P1. Zach Blinko, another name we've seen plenty of, P2. Isaac Fletcher, P3. Paul Dowdle in P4. Dan Patrick, 5. Zane Hills out of P6. No, he was back at KartSport Rotorua with his urban performance team this week, so he's been back in a kart recently. Sam Dunstall, P7. Arthur Browan, obviously of the Liquid Action stable there, so good to have Arthur running inside the top 10. Good job. William Exton, 9. And we're almost ready for a start here. Simon, all yours?
Yeah, so lights are out. Obviously, it looks like a pretty clean start so far as they go back all the way around the last corner. So plenty of lock of those cars. Pretty even start so far. Big concertina effect, obviously, in the middle of the field going there, but so far so good. So I don't want to put the commentators' curse onto it, but looks like Jaden Ransley off the pole had a pretty clean start so far. But
one roll over.
Moment.
Yep, typical Jordan versus the Mitch Evans livery versus the rainbow livery there. So all coming together there, but that's pretty standard for iRacing, isn't it, Chris? These days, it's shunts every now and again.
Yes, and sometimes it just gets out of hand, and you get one guy push into another guy, and then before you know it, you're upside down or through a fence, and it happens rather quickly. But luckily, you can tow yourself back to the pits and have a bit of a reset and go again, which is the joy of this virtual world.
I'll tell you what, they were doing pretty good there. Like for the first 3 corners, as you said, you don't want to put the curse on it there, Simon, but we had a really uneventful first couple of corners there. I think obviously the terminal speed's down on these cars. Not carrying a massive amount of speed as opposed to previous formulas we've run. So I think those first couple of corners were really good. That was good considering some of the other action we've had earlier on. It was a massive big bus of cars here, and they're all going nose to tail. Everyone's driving really well, keeping all the corners on most of the cars so far. And the racing's really, really close. So this is typical Formula V stuff, as we see someone half a move, lock the rears, and takes 3 cars out there, which is a bit of a shame. But this is certainly classic Formula V racing, Simon.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of nose cones flying, and it's so easy to make a little mistake and take someone out. No malice, absolutely, and it's just complete innocent party. So that's part of racing these days, isn't it? Virtual or in the real world. So we're on here with Paul Dowdle, so doing a really solid job here in P3. He's trying to chase down Zach Blinko, but he's got young Zane Hills there putting a bit of pressure on him. So Isaac Fletcher there down in 5th, so now qualifying. He was one of the quick guys there, putting a lot of pressure on Jaden Ransley, but these guys won't want to battle too hard because look, Jaden Ransley there on lap 3, he's already got a 1.5 second lead, so he's sort of would have broken that toe already, and he'll be pretty happy to see there's a bunch of 4 cars here battling in his mirrors, Chris, isn't it? Because as we know, when you're out front, there's nothing better than seeing the guys battling behind in your mirrors.
Yeah, he's got a good little gap there, and these guys, I'm sure he's looking, going, oh yeah, I've got you, and they're all over the place trying to defend. So the more they do that, the more they get slowed up, and then they allow Jaden just to pull away ever so more. And yeah, the toe obviously is a big thing with these cars, and once he's broken that, I think he's pretty safe, I reckon, for the moment anyway, unless he puts a wheel off somewhere.
Yeah, that's Chris. That's exactly right. Obviously, we're sort of dealing with a very low powered formula, and if you start to get into a bit of a battle pack and you've got someone in front of you first thing you're going to do if you're running too wide, you're going to slow one another down. So those guys just need to settle down a little bit, just get in behind one another, try and open those corners up. Try and keep those straights as long as possible, keep the corners as short as possible, trying to make that lap as short as they can, and try and get back onto the back of Jaden. They've got a little bit over 11 laps there to try and get on the back of Jaden. Can they do it? It'll be interesting. As I said, they're just going to have to stop battling a little bit. As we can see, Zach Blinko's just got a little bit of a gap from Paul Dowdle and Zane Hills. So that's going to help him as long as those guys just chip away, eyes forward, not worry about what's behind them. Hopefully they might get to Jaden and make a bit of a race of this, Simon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've got Ashton Phipps leading the group behind, and there's 3 cars in that group with Brad Winslow and Mike Muir. So these 3 here, they're trying to pull the gap over Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson ran out of the KartSport Auckland, KartSport Mount Wellington, and now that actually competes in the Twitter 86 Championship. So great to see him back in the field. So he'll be a little bit of a mistake there. We probably put the commentator's curse on him. He might be watching this live stream because Chris, what we've found is quite a few of these guys that they watch the live stream and they're caught over their eyes, just to make sure they're getting some camera time, but they always end up making a mistake. Do you ever watch the big screens?
No, I got to get in the zone. I mean, I got to make sure I'm on focus. This is already hard enough sometimes. Some of these guys are so fast, and you're pushing, and then they're still second up the road. So you got to really get into it sometimes. Even I quite often run the Discord with a few guys, so that's quite a good bit of banter going on there. And especially when you're racing with them, you can sort of come with a strategy as such and work it out that way.
Yeah, I can imagine certainly any distraction wouldn't be helping. Certainly when you're even driving something as smaller horsepower as this, you want to try and keep that momentum up, and any distraction certainly isn't going to help you as we come on board. Obviously, Phil Winter here, so lost his nose box somewhere along the line there, but still managing to push on, obviously not affecting the terminal speed too much of his car as we come down the start-finish line. Big long run down into the heavily banked into turn 1. Mitchell Evans blocking as usual. Nothing's changed there by the look of it. And Stephen Beaumont doing a good job there. So I must say that livery looks really, really impressive. I actually remember when Mitch ran that livery in TRS, I was working for the Triple X Motorsport team. And that was probably one of the best looking cars out there, especially with that fluor orange that you guys became synonymous with there, Simon.
Yeah, that's right, Dad. If you know Dad, you can't go wrong with fluoro and chrome. So all our cars featured that in one way or another. So in my mind, if we didn't win, at least we kind of looked good. But we still carry that on today. And we just had a monster shunt on the front brake. Is it 1, 2? I counted 2 canoe. It's still carrying on. No. Huge shunt. So that's why we're out. Lucky we're in the virtual world, but we go to our motor simulation replay. So coming onto the front straight here in the old Marlborough livery. So, but it's happened just before that, and it's
we had a spinner.
Happened, yeah. We had a spinner up ahead, and cars pull out, nowhere to go. So looks like we're taking it on board here. Watch out for the R clip on the steering wheel. That's going to go flying, and then drive through the smoke. Yeah, didn't quite work that time, did it? But
I think he might have had his head down there, eh?
I was going to say he might be checking his delta on the dash, but it's still an analog speedo. So I think that would be the case there. But Chris, not much you could really do in that. Tony, you there?
Yes, just come back there. Sorry, team. Sorry, my phone's overheating from all the action. I missed all that. Sorry.
You missed the best bit of the race so far.
Yeah, that's all right. But I think Travis's car's going to need more than a string line to get that thing back out on the track. He's going to have all hands on deck repairing that. So, as we're back to the action now, following the Zane Hills here. few things flying off on those vehicles there by the look of it. So this is a mega battle. Obviously, we've got Paul Dowdle just up in front there. And these boys, as we said earlier on, just need to work together a little bit, see if they can shrink that gap down. But they're running too wide. They're going to be pushing plenty of air around. And they're certainly not going to be running as quick as the two cars up front, as they're both trying to run too wide. And as we said before, they can end up slowing one another up. So they just need to chip away, eyes forward, and see if they can get on to the back of those leaders. And in theory, they should be able to do it. Still got 6 laps, and it's by no means over for these guys as we jump on board with Nathan Krang, Simon.
Yeah, so obviously another one there with missed the old nose cone, so there'll be plenty of under push coming from this car and the higher speed stuff, but seems to be holding his position quite well here. So Nathan, he's just behind Braden Snowden, and he's obviously trying to defend young William Exton here. So running the nice pink and blue suit and gloves here. So
big move.
Brilliant move there. Locked the inside front, but still got it done. So fantastic move there by the young. But obviously he's covering here. Looks like he's missing a nose cone too, and they're still coming together halfway down the straight. And young Nathan Cram drops a wheel off, so that hasn't helped his entry in here, because quite a good move up into turn 1 here, Chris, where you can if you get a good run exit out of there, you get really in the middle of the turn 1 here.
Yeah, and he's having a little look there, but he couldn't quite pull it off. And it looks to be like it's pretty good racing up until now, and some good passes going down. And we'll see if these guys, but I was just going to have a look and see. Jaden must be coming up on the back of some guys now, so whether that impacts him and the other little group behind are able to crawl in that 4-second gap he's pulled on everyone at the moment.
Yeah, lap markers have certainly played their role in previous events, Chris, sort of ones that you've probably been driving in, and it's they've certainly caused some action. Yeah, some of them have been willing to get out of the road, and some of them have got the elbows out and sort of thought they were in amongst the lead drivers, and caused a couple of big accidents. It certainly made for good visuals, but probably a few frustrated drivers at the same time. So, as Jaden does come up on this lap traffic, it'll be interesting to see what part that plays. But obviously, Zach Blinko still comfortably in second, couple of second margin back to Zane Hills, and they're all just starting to spread themselves out a little bit. You can certainly notice how it's a good testament to how forgiving the cars are. Obviously, the couple of guys getting into the back of one another, and like what young William Exton, some nice big passes, really getting the car turned in on the brake. I thought we were on board there with Craig Lowndes for a second there, and really getting the car turned in on the brake, getting the car to the apex, and the car's still really, really well balanced, and they can still run into one another and not lose a lot of momentum. So 4 laps and counting there, Simon. Do you think they're going to pull back this 4.3 seconds on Jaden?
Nah, I think they're definitely going to struggle with it now, unless we get a feisty back marker that he comes up to. So he'll be pretty comfortable out there in front, and I'm sure he'll just be maintaining that gap. But it looks like this could be Corey Green running an old Nick Cassidy TRS livery. So fantastic to see guys getting amongst the liveries and running some old, Kiwis liveries as well. But he's got a great run in here. Not decided to be on his turn 1 and does go right, but he's going to try to be the last of the old late breakers. Up and under. He might be able to get done, but once again, he'll be on the wrong side of the circuit here again if he can't quite clear him. And it looks like he's probably not going to get it quite done.
Mate, turn in.
Oh, no. He's still holding it off.
Oh, he's too kind there for a bit. Get in there, Corey. Get it done, son.
There we go. Squeeze him out. Do a vandrift, run him off the circuit. No. He's a good hard racing there.
It's still
going, isn't it? But I think he might have it done here if he can just clear him. But that's what this Skip Barber is all about, Chris, isn't it? It's good hard racing, trying to get these young boys a bit more racecraft.
Yeah, and you see even some of the cars are wounding a bit of damage there, but they're still pretty much just as fast as the other guys, which is good. So you're not heavily impacted if you have a bit of a rub with someone, or you go a bit off-roading. Whereas some of the cars are very sensitive to that, but this looks to be all under control, and these guys can still have good battles after that.
Yeah, we can see Jaden's obviously opened that gap just over 5 seconds now. So obviously Jaden hasn't got too much into that lap traffic door, has affected him too much. So opening that up, even as we see it on the live time, he's opening that gap. So Zane Hills, P3, so good to see Zane performing really well. He's probably done a few laps during the week as well, the young Rotax light driver out of Auckland. Certainly seen him at the top of the timesheets in the last couple of events. As we said, Mike, you were half a look as the big long last turn onto the front straight. You can certainly see that understeer really showing how balanced the car can be, and it doesn't seem to be affecting the exit speed of the car too much. It's certainly going to suit the driver that doesn't actually mind getting the car in too hot, using plenty of lock to get the car rotated, and then unwinding the lock as they exit the turn, trying to make those turns as big as possible. As we following Aston Phipps here, the Oreo sponsored driver tonight. You can next there's evidence of that understeer that we see in the cars, but just seems to be a standard effect and a characteristic of this Skip Barber style of vehicle. I remember driving the Formula Ford years ago, and going back a long time with Koei. They were very similar in the way that they were quite a very well balanced car and always had a little bit of push. So can be quite a confident car for a driver to drive if they've got a little bit of push, as we see. Brad Wenslick here, not defending, but Aston Phipps, nice clean move as we head up into the long right-hander here, Si.
Yeah, I don't think this battle was over here, is it? Because tight exit, came all the way through, and Aston Phipps going very defensive because we are in the final lap of the race. Big cutback there by Brad. He'll be trying to do the up and under here, but he's obviously with Mike behind him. He needs to be pretty careful. Ashton just wants to put his head down, not try cover too much because you don't want to lose the momentum. But Isaac Fletcher here all over the back of Paul Dowdle, so he'll be trying to have a last minute up into the hairpin. Is that lap traffic or is that Zane Hills? No, I think that's Zane Hills. Leaves the door wide open for him. Now Isaac Fletcher gets a good run. The door gets quickly shut here as we come up to the last quarter. I mean, Chris, would you have a last minute dive? Win it or bin it? Or
you'd have to try and go for something here, but these last couple of corners are quite fast. And can he sneak down the inside though and get a good run out? But there's two touch. Is he going to get in for the line? It's going to be pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Doesn't quite get it done.
Yeah. Just ran out of room there, I reckon.
There's Zane Hill's P4 there in the end. So really good last couple of corners there. The boys are banging wheels. And as we see someone's wheel just going down pit straight. Oh, God. It might end up actually stacking itself on a set of tyres like Marcus Ambrose that year at Surface Paradise. So, but God, we've got all these mad scenes here as they finish off. We've got a slight bit of contact at the finish. Oh, it's never ending. I hope they don't treat their first club day like this team once they get back on the track. So, great little race. Really fantastic drive by Jane Ransley, really proving his worth tonight so far. There's Simon winning the first 15-lap race, and I'd say he's going to be a hard man to beat for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, is that 3 in a row for Jaden? And so, pretty solid, solid effort. Good drive there by Zach. He had some fairly solid pace last week. Paul Dowdle, Zane Hills, Isaac Fletcher, great battle at the end there. Ashton Phipps, great job there. Looked really racy at the end. Brad Winslow, Mike Muir, Andrew Jackson, and Sam Dunstall rounding out the top 10, 23 seconds behind.
Yeah, what a great first race, and certainly if you said to me, what's your pick of the cars so far? Not that I've driven any of them. Like I've run the MX-5 a little bit, and the only other car, as I said, I've driven as a midget. Certainly, this next time I get a chance to jump on a sim, I think this is probably one of the first cars that I would like to jump on and drive. It certainly looks really forgiving. And certainly, as you said, Chris, it's a car. It looks like you can throw around a little bit, and it still looks, reasonably forgiving in the feedback it gives you, and you don't scrub off too much speed. As we go from, there's Travis Smith, massive accident. He's actually still sitting in the back of the ambulance, 21st place. He'll be joining us again for the second heat, all the way down to Ollie Workman. There, he's got his full sim set up now in 30th position, and so. Looking forward to this next lap. So what we're going to do, I think we're going to drag Jaden in for an interview, and we can have a bit of a debrief with him. You there, Jaden?
Yep, I'm here, mate. How are ya?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to, hey, not much has changed since I think we spoke to you last, mate. Good drive back on P1. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I got a pretty average start, but managed to cover it off. But I'm not sure what happened to the guys behind. I managed to get a bit of a gap, but thankfully broke the draft on the first lap because the draft here is crazy going down the back straight, especially in these cars. So no, it was really good. I'm sure this next race is going to be carnage in the reverse grid, but we'll try to get through it all.
No, you did a good job, mate. You were just chipping away, like myself, Chris, and Simon were saying in the commentary box. Those other boys behind you started to battle a little bit. You know, they were running too wide, just really slowing one another down, and you were just putting in nice, clean laps and just chipped away. So, absolute textbook effort by yourself. And so, second race tonight, 25 laps, but it's grids from the previous race. So, you're going to be starting off the front, my man.
Sweet. It's all good. Yeah, I guess it's a longer race, so hopefully we can have a bit of a battle with everyone and have a bit of fun. But yeah, definitely the lap cars in that race made it a bit exciting. But yeah, we'll push on for the next one.
Yep, no, good job, mate. We'll be keeping an eye on those lap cars, and hopefully we might see a few canoes sliding down pit lane. We'll see what happens, eh?
Absolutely, I'm sure there will be.
Cool, nice work, mate. Good job,
Good
Jaden,
job,
and
good job.
good luck for the next one.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
All right, so yeah, good to have Jaden jump in the combox with us there, and obviously a very accomplished Toyota 86 racer at the moment, and good to see him supporting the KartSport event side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, he's been smashing out plenty of hours on the sim, like we mentioned before. But the thing is, it's paying dividends for him. It doesn't matter if he's jumping in the BMW series last night or whatever it is. He seems to be up the pointy end. So it just shows that when these kart tracks open up, get out there, and because practice does make perfect, or definitely goes a long way in helping out. But yeah. Chris, what was you've been in these in the KartSport virtual club days before, but to commentate, are you quite happy that you're from the outside, staring down a few of those canoes there at the end of the race?
Yeah, at least I know this way I won't get caught in any crashes. But no, hey, it's been cool to race all the guys and get out there, and you can have some really cool battles with people. And I think it's it's great that everyone from the younger cadet rock right up to the older guys or the dads can join in and race as well, and everyone can sort of have a pretty good time out there. So that's what's really cool about this virtual world and the KartSport event. So I'll have to try and get on the next event, maybe, if you give me a bit of a heads up with what track and car it's going to be. I could do some special testing during the week and make sure I bring my A game.
You're not going to go testing. You can't test, mate. You just rock on up and hook into it. You get an experienced man like yourself,
Oh, I'm not as good as these younger kids now, and I need a little, maybe an hour or two beforehand. But no, I should look at it. It's always good to get on the sim.
Yeah, no, that's right. So it won't be too far away from our 25 lap feature. And just remember our Cook Strait crossings, we've still got one more auction on Trade Me Their team. Last I looked, it was at $313, and that ends tomorrow. So grab yourself a bargain, and if you miss out on that, if you need to get across that patch of water once we're allowed to travel a bit more, give Tony Hurster and Cook Strait Crossings, he can sort you out. And especially for all those motorsport-related events, he can get you across with a much better rate, much more flexible, and certainly the best and easiest, most convenient way to cross that bit of water there is using Tony Hurst services. So, and obviously not forgetting Liquid Action, our supporters of our 8-week KartSport series here, Simon.
Yeah. Like we always say, support those that support you, but we've dealt with Tony's before at Cook Strait Crossing. So if you're in Wellington, shoot across to now sort of blend them for a club day, and vice versa. Race against you guys and that. But we're going to just cut to a quick ad break here, and then we'll be back for our final race for the night at 25 lapper. So we'll catch you guys.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Off the
guys, I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?
On this week's Cool Cars, the new Volkswagen T-Cross, the Porsche 911 992 C2 is in the showroom, an all-new Lamborghini. Max Verstappen drives the Valkyrie, and we talk to Brendan Hartley. It's all just a click away.
My name is Stephen Corpenos. I'm a senior web developer here at iRacing, and I work on the beta UI. It's funny because iRacing has been around for 10 years, but we want to keep delivering the best possible user experience to our customers, and we've found that the old UI isn't exactly what we're trying to deliver in 2018. We want to use new features and provide the best possible experience when using the sim. One of the projects that I've been working on is some custom heat racing configuration for hosted races. We've been listening to our customers. Everyone's been asking for custom heat races. Maybe you want to tweak a few things with the preset iRacing configurations. Well, now you can using the Beta UI. So once you're at the home page of the Beta UI, you just go to create a race. And from there you go to your set race options. And you'll notice here under event types, you can actually choose heat racing. First, I'm going to show you how to create a new format from scratch. You can choose the number of entrants. And as you can see, when I made that change, the change was actually reflected on the right side in the graph. Also, you can use the estimated duration at the bottom of the graph when you're changing the length to see what the total duration of your event will be. In addition, you can customize every aspect of the session information, practice, qualifying, heat races, consolations, and of course, the final feature race. Because the Beta UI allows us to develop features that are robust and complex, this feature will be exclusively available on the Beta UI. Once you've made all of the changes, you can hit save. Say you forgot what you selected. You can always preview it using the preview format button. We are very excited to release the brand new heat racing configuration feature that will be available in Season 3 of iRacing.
Simon.
Cool, guys. Thanks for our partners in the ads. But second race is up. We've got the guys on the grid. So finishing order of the last race is the grid for this race. So Jaden Ramsey on the pole. Let's see if he can deal to these guys again. But interesting talking to him. He put it down to breaking free on that first lap and breaking that draft. So let's see. I'm sure he'll be wanting to do that again. Let's see if the guys behind him can work together a little bit more, like Zach and Paul Dowdle and Zane Hills, so they can stay with him. But as we see, the cars stacked all around the back. They've been busy in the sheds, getting the tow lines on and a few more new wings, and we go. So as they all file around the last corner, we've got one there hasn't quite got off the line, but and one already in the pit lane actually. So I'm not too sure who that is. But Jaden, pretty clean run through turn one. It looks like Zach's tucked right up behind him.
Oh, car back on the field.
Looks like action aplenty in the at turn 3 there. Looks like definitely saw one go around. There's 2, 3, 4 driving backwards.
That's just missing a wheel.
One's missing a front wheel. Definitely don't want to be in that middle field, but it looks like, is that Isaac Fletcher's just been caught up there in the middle there? But Zach, he's right on the back of Jaden Ransley here, Chris. So this is probably what he wanted to do, and probably not what Jaden.
Yeah, more carnage there. A few guys hitting each other. Oh, there's what's that? 5, 6 cars out. Oh, that's a nice little pass there through. Yeah, so I think Jaden hasn't quite got the jump he had before. So we'll see if they can hang on to the back of him once these other guys sort of get into their rhythm and see how everything unfolds for the moment. But I think Jaden's not quite clear at the moment. I think with these, as long as you're kind of within sort of a half a second to about 6, 7 tenths, you're good for the tow. So as long as he can keep it like there, here he is there, he should be good to have a lunge somewhere. Is that? That's lucky number. Okay, there you go. Even bigger then, so that's good.
Yeah,
So,
as you said, Chris, it's certainly he's in a good spot. Looks like he's already sort of trying to have a crack at him. Like he wants to just put his head down, just follow him. We're only 2 laps into 25. If they can just chip away, they've got a little bit of a buffer from Paul Dowdle and Zane Hills in 4. So if they can just sit there, just feed off one another, not do anything silly, they should be able to open this gap up. But if he's going to start having a lunge, he's going to certainly that's going to be the best race for us. He needs to make many lunges as possible and cause a massive big battle group. So, but they look to be opening the gap up as we see in front of us.
yeah, looks. I just got someone running wide. Was that Leo Scott entry there? So tyres still coming up 10, and he's just let Nathan Crane go through there. So looks like he's run up, but plenty of inside front locking here at the tight hairpin. Easy to do. It's quite a tricky break up there with a little S bend heading up towards it. But so we go back to the battle at the front of the pack. Pull down here holding off Zane Hills. So these two already fighting. You can already visually see that the gap growing between Zach and Jaden. Brilliant execution of the draft here, as we see Jaden running the Holden, the old Peter Brock livery almost. So great to see he's worked hard with the sponsorship over the week and to pick up a new sponsor. He had Tom and Jerry's last week, but that fight's still not over. So Jaden's going to have another attack here up into turn 1. So Chris, he still wants to be in the lead, doesn't he? Even though there's a bit of a draft factor here, I suppose you want to control the pace at your own sort of at your own will.
Yeah, he's trying to get in front of him and just sort of hold him up, and they have to be careful, those two guys, because you got 3rd and 4th, which are just behind, and if they start battling too much, they'll be quickly on their tails, and then they'll be having to sniff at it. So sort of, got one there in the wall. There's 2 out. Gone.
And that's a big accident there with Isaac Fletcher, which is a bit of a shame. He just dropped a wheel off through the left-hander, and then and took someone else with him, which was a bit of a shame. So back on board, got Paul Dowdle here in P4. So that's the group of P4 and himself and Zane Hills just ahead of him in P3. So you can see these guys just trying to keep that lap distance down, trying to pull that gap from those two in front, which actually, Jaden and Zach are still battling a little bit. You can see their names swapping the top of the timesheets there. But that gap doesn't seem to be changing too much at this stage. They've still got a little bit of a buffer, so they're both doing a really good job, still putting in good lap times, even though we can actually start to see Zane Hill starting to catch these guys now. So I think the damage is done, as we see Zane Hills has actually picked up the fastest race lap so far. So Zane will be rubbing his hands together in that cockpit there. As soon as he gets to them, 2 things he's got to do: either make a pass straight away, and then he can measure his speed against them, or just sit behind them and just sort of see how these next sort of 8 or 10 laps sort of play out. But we're going defensive already. This is going to be a massive 25 laps, Simon.
Yeah, going defensive, 20 laps to go. But I mean, this is just a classic example. I've seen it, the first and second battling here just drags the cars up behind them. So looks Jane's still not letting this go with a fight. He still wants to lead, but they've still got probably a pretty healthy margin just over Ashton Phipps at the moment. But to be honest, it won't take too much before it could easily become a 5, 6, 7 car battle. And hey, from our end, that's what we want. Probably not for those guys in that front end, but the drafting is just so crucial here. So there we go. There's the Ashton Phipps, the Oreo sponsorship. So with his teammate, old Mitchell Sparrow, right behind him. So, and here we go. So the 4 guys all latched onto the back of each other. So Rainsley leading at the moment over Zach Linko. But don't think it's probably not going to finish this way as we go into the long straight here, Chris.
Yeah, and it's a good little battle pack, I think, is forming here. And as you say, Simon, I don't think Jaden's going to have this one in the bag as easy as the last race. So, I mean, any one of these guys can be in the lead within a few corners. So they just got to sort of hang on to each other and keep pushing on. And Jaden gets a bit loose there into turn 1. He still gathers it up, though.
Zach Zach Blinko is absolutely relentless, isn't he? He's just hunting the whole time, Chris.
Yes, he is. He is, and I'm looking for a late move here. Going somewhere. He's not quite had enough room there, but I'm sure he's going to throw it at the inside at some point. He's not going to want to wait there too much longer.
Oh, massive moment. Backs it in.
He just put a wheel on the grass, didn't he?
Yeah, that's just opened that gap up to for Jaden there. But also, Jaden's already come up to the lap traffic, so probably a few of those guys who were caught up in that first couple of lap incidents, been in for a fast repair, now back out there. So with these two here, you know, they've fallen outside of that slipstream battle, so they want to be jumping on each other's Discord and trying to work together here. Otherwise, it's going to be not a lonely race, but they definitely won't be battling for the lead. But Zach's already going defensive here again. We're pulled out or opens it back up. Yep, if they keep doing this, Chris, Jaden's for sure going to be pulled away. But
we lost one. Yep, we lost one already. But you see, like the start of that last lap, they were all 4 cars, and now Jaden's got over a second already, just like that. So it's easy to just fall back, and now hopefully for Jaden, or not hopefully for Jaden, but for the other guys, that Jaden gets caught up with some lap traffic, and then they can claw him back again.
Yeah, generally if you start blocking for position 4, you'll end up in the fence. So and that's what's happened there. So which is a bit of a shame, because it's really torn apart that lead group. But in saying that, Aston Phipps and Mitchell Sparrow are the benefactors of that, because they've jumped up to that 4 and 5. As we see Zach Blinko back in 6, and quite a fair margin back off our leaders though. He's just off the back of Aston Phipps there, so we'll see if he can climb his way back through. He might be able to get in front of young Aston and Mitchell and even pull them along a little bit, and they might be able to get onto the back of Paul. So bit of a shame. We had that, as Chris said, a really good battle pack for the top 4 there, but that's been torn apart by some fairly defensive driving early on in a really long race. It actually reminds me of racing Simon Evans at Mount Wellington years ago. Very similar, so gets to the lead and blocks straight away. So, but hey, these things happen,
Yeah. Wasn't it the unwritten rule at Mount Wellington? As soon as you get to the lead, you just... Well, that's what you always taught me to do anyway, Tony.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It taught you to do it against me. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So we'll see. Obviously, Zach's just got in front of Aston, and we'll see if he can peg back that gap to Mitchell Sparrow. This is going to make for some good watching, and we'll see if this gap can close back up. So we're just coming up on the 10 lap mark here, Simon.
Yeah, and I'm just interesting watching. I've been keeping an eye on the gap between Jaden and Zane. That was out to 1.2 seconds, and now it's just come down to under a second, so about 0.9 of a second. So whether Jaden's got caught up in some traffic or not, looks like he has, and now it's probably Zane's turn to do it. But these two look like they've got a fairly similar pace, so this could be with 15 laps to go, the rest of race 1 to go now. This could be a pretty good battle. It's just about chipping away. We've got more lap traffic coming up for Jaden. So if Zane plays the long smart game here, he could be in a good position come the back end of the race, Chris.
Yeah, he's just within that window, isn't he, of the slipstream? So it will be, or I think from now until the end, all about the lap traffic and how these guys battle through that. And that's another kind of art form in itself, how you clear the guys and sort of watching them to see how they're doing, or if they've seen you. And as we see a few come into each other there, whether that was some lap traffic as well, possibly, because I see, Jaden has definitely lost his little lead now, so I think that little fight's going to be back on in a second. So that's great for Zane, not so good for Jaden, but better for all the viewers, I say.
Yeah, you can see Zane's certainly doing a good job. He can run off the corners a little bit narrower than Jaden. He's getting the car straighter early on than Jaden, so he's doing a really good job not sliding the car around too much. So sort of you can see he's getting the car turned in a little bit earlier as well. So he's doing a good job just trying to keep the car as straight as possible, probably being a bit kinder on the car, knowing full well that he's still got another sort of 14 laps ahead of him. And as we said, Zane was down KartSport Rotorua testing in the weekend, I believe, with Ryan Urban and his Urban Performance team. So one of the first to get back to the track once we could. And very good young karter, and proving to be a very good young sim racer as well too, as we jump on board Stephen Beaumont here. And fastest lap of the race actually for him as well too. So in clear air, really doing a good job there, Si, and you'll be stoked to see those colours going quick.
Well, to be honest, I'd be happier if he was in probably one of my colour schemes going faster, but since he's in Mitch's, it's not too bad. But being brothers, we always want to, even though I'm probably the second fastest Evan's brother, I still want to beat him when I can, you know. But we'll leave that for another day, eh?
Yeah, good luck, mate.
You don't think coming to the ripe age at 30, I've got hope to maybe crack a Formula E drive?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. You know, you just sort of, it's one of those things. You can't beat youth, Simon, and our KartSport events have been the proof of that. So, we'll certainly see how that youth sort of progresses. And, you know, we talk about young Aston Phipps and Mitchell Sparrow, you know, very young new entrants into the Junior Max category, racing against established senior karters, now race car drivers, like Jaden Ransley and Zane Hills, the senior Max drivers. So some big age differences there, and they're all doing a really good job. And this car certainly is a good leveler from what we're seeing. We're seeing many different lines, and the cars are very forgiving. So on board Leo Scott here doing a good job in 8th position, 13 seconds off the lead, but still obviously within a battle pack of themselves. He's not far. You can just see Aston Phipps just getting up into the right-hander now. So he might even try to peg those guys back and maybe even get inside the top 6. See how that progresses, Si.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, still 12 laps to go. So we only just re-cranked over that halfway point of the race. So plenty of action in that first half of the race, and I'm sure it's going to carry on for the second half. But looking at that lead, Jaden Ramsey, fastest lap of the race with a 1018. So that's actually quicker than his qualifying time. So he's really starting to put the hammer down now and pull that margin. But depends if he catches up to this lap traffic or not is going to be the key. But yeah, there's definitely battle packs looking all the way down the field, especially from that the battle that we're on now for 9th, 10th, 11th. 21 seconds on the lead, but they're fighting for every position here, and looks like thought it was just going to have a go there, but probably back out of it, and then and have another a higher percentage move, because it's easy in iRacing to go for a low percentage move, and 9 times out of 10 they don't come off, Chris. You always you end up having a canoe underneath you rather than a race car.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy to be very brave before kind of working it out, and sometimes you just send it and hope for the best, and that's when a lot of the accidents happen, and you either wreck your race or someone else's race too. So if you're going on board now with Ryan, so he's having a good little race here, I think. As he's got a good little pack in front of him, doesn't he? So he's trying to chase those guys down, and he'll be on their slipstream now, having a good little run down to the T1. Gets in there nice, yeah.
Certainly plenty of wheel work from Ryan. Nothing's changed. He was very similar in a go-kart as well. He nearly wrenched the wheel off the thing all the time. So he's really getting stuck into that Formula Barber, and he's doing a good job. He hasn't done he got a sim quite late in the KartSport series. So good to see all his hard work paying off, and running inside that top 15. And he was sort of one to say he wasn't able to do a lot of testing during the week because he's a busy Tyler in Auckland. So good to see his results coming to the fore, and he's doing a good job here, just inside that top 15 and behind some of our regular drivers. Si.
Yeah, that's it, right. And knowing the competitive nature of Ryan, he probably wouldn't have qualified, but definitely not as well as what he would have liked to. But it's just showing, going out there doing laps. He's definitely one of those guys who always progresses forward over the weekend, keeps his nose clean. And, we've seen a really classic example over here as he puts this really late move on Stuart Bovey, but let's just see, can he get it pulled up? Looks like he can. So fantastic. It's great to see him moving up through the field, and I'm sure he's got his eyes set on the top 10 here, Chris. But you would have done a lot of racing against over the years.
Yeah, I'm going way back from when we first started in cadets. Normally Ryan was against my brother Daniel, but yeah, seen him around loads of the kart track over the years, and it's cool to see guys like that come back now. And after all this is kind of back to normal again, maybe we'll get back into a real kart, and entice these people to come back.
Yeah, Ryan was based around Palmerston North and did all those Gold Star events, and would regularly see him at national championship events. As we see him, he's right in the thick of it here. He nearly has a moment into the last turn, really working that steering box overtime and that thing. So nice long run down into turn 1. He's going to get a little bit of a draft. He'll run up the left-hand side of the circuit on turn, and brilliant visuals here. Will he get the run back on the right-hand side? So he's actually done a good job there, Phil Winter, to still get off the turn, even though he's gone in a little bit narrower as we run down through the left section. Phil runs narrow. Ryan's going to turn in from the right-hand side. Nice late apex. Straight run in as they head underneath the Dunlop Bridge. So Ryan's just missed his turn in there, but he might get away with it there, Simon. We'll keep an eye on it as we go through the big, long left-hander, Simon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But to us, this is the corner where you actually want to get the run out of. If you don't have to go defensive, there's no point. But looks like I said, quite a tight exit coming out of there, and notice Ryan used all the circuit, so though he's probably not right directly in the slipstream, he's knowing Ryan, he's always probably going to be teeing up a corner or two ahead, so he's probably looking for a move to happen at turn 1. But let's move back to our KartSport steward, been with us every week, Simon Burning Claridge, so fantastic to see him having a good run tonight in 13th. And it's great to see our stewards out there, Chris, competing, up against our karters. So, normally he's, giving our guys black flags in there probably, or mechanical flags, but now he's out there, swapping paint with them. So good to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's where this is a really good platform to go on. And like we said, there's guys from all ages in this race tonight, and all, whether it's fathers or officials as well, which is really cool. And you see they put in some good racing too, so it's about everyone having a bit of a good time and going for that chocolate fish every week as they have the races on. But there we have and we are stuck on top. No, we're off nearly, but it's a bit of damage there as we get onto the sort of second third of the race.
I was just as we went on board with Zach Blinko there going down the front straight, they had a rear vision. I said the back of his wing was a bit damaged, and then we get up into turn 1 and he does a massive amount of damage again. So he's just adding up the damage points on his car there, Zach Blinko. So he's had a fairly eventful race. It looks like
what's happened?
Ryan Bailey has had an absolute nightmare. He's pulled it up at the start of turn 1. We'll jump on our Motum simulation replay here. We'll see what's happened. So we're on board with Ryan. The last corner, got the big arm pump going on, so he's turned in. He's got a little bit of oversteer. He's come off the turn on the lock stops, and he's caught the right rear on the pit fence there. So he will be absolutely strewing inside that car because he was doing a really good job. You can see the left front wheel hanging off the thing. He's going to park it up at turn 1, press escape, and go grab himself a beer, I'd say. That's a tough old night at the office for Ryan there, Simon.
Yeah, no, Ryan, he'll be the first one at the national prize giving that we're going to have at the bars. So disappointing to him because he was actually having such a good run from his qualifying position right the way up through the field. So let's see what we can have for the rest of the race. Just notice Jaden Ramsey has gone faster again, so he's not making life any easier for Zane Hill, and he's full about 3.5 seconds behind. But once again, this battle for third is on, isn't it? That final podium spot, Paul Dowell chasing down young Mitchell Sparrow. So, obviously Mitchell Sparrow, the other week got his simulator for the first time, so he's obviously put in a few hours, but doing a really solid, consistent job so far. So let's see what we can do. 4 laps to run here in our feature race of the KartSport Virtual Club Day, Chris.
Yeah, and I see Jaden's making it look easy getting in there with this bit of a gap he's pulling, and lap after lap he's doing fastest lap here. So he's making the other guys work hard for it, that's for sure. Unfortunately, we lost Zach a bit earlier on there. So I think he was looking pretty strong on the race. But I'd have to say, shout out to the old Veloce driver, Shane McLeod, down in 15th place now. So he's having a pretty solid race, I think. Going hard there and staying out of trouble.
Oh, good effort. So, yeah, obviously one of your supported drivers there, Chris. Good to see them. And no Ian Williams tonight. He's not driving in any of the even drive at all in any of the service this evening.
No, it didn't look like he made it on. So last night we were having a bit of a blat with Simon, but no, Shane's one of our drivers. He's got a DD2 card of ours. He's just jumped over and did a bit of road racing before the lockdown. So he's really enjoying that, and he's got his son Ethan, which is in one of our mini karts as well, which is a mini rock. So looking good for those guys coming forwards, and we shall see how he finishes up in the last few laps of this race.
Yeah, excellent. And as we said, yeah, 22 laps gone, so only got 3 laps to go. So that 25 laps has gone really, really fast. And it's certainly been action aplenty, which has obviously made the race go a hell of a lot quicker. So as we jump out the back of Shane's car here, so he's run wide. He's let the Stephen Beaumont entry just slip underneath him there. So a pretty easy pass. Either he's missed his braking point a little bit, or he's just far too kind and wants to keep the damage down before the end of the race. So doing a really good job, as you said, running inside the top 20 there as we jump on board chasing the number 8 of Leo Scott and Daniel Harvey, the Dunedin driver. And I actually think that's his son driving that car as well. So as we've mentioned in the past, so plenty of parents' names as the entry, because obviously there is an age restriction to what you can have an iRacing account. So where you'll see a few of the fathers' names, that's generally the other entrant, and the sons are driving the cars. Very similar to when you go to an overseas CIK event, you'll have a father as an entry, and the son or the daughter will be the driver. So as we see Paul Dowdle and just dropping a wheel off there, 2 to go, you'd almost say that Jaden's got this wrapped up, wouldn't you there, Simon?
Yeah, unless he gets tied up with the lap car, he's definitely cleared out front, not giving us a Holden Racing Team livery too much of TV coverage, but that's okay. It sort of comes part and parcel of dominating the field, isn't it? But I'll tell you one thing for free, and this battle here surely isn't over. Paul Dowdle and Mitch Sparrow for that final podium spot. I mean, I think it's quite generous of you, Chris, to pay their damage bills if they bin it on the last lap here. So thanks for volunteering and doing that for the boys.
Yeah, they can surely send me it in the mail, but I don't know if I'll get it. That's the only thing.
Oh, classic. So a couple of laps to run here, team. Big move down the inside. Plenty of racing room given by both these guys. Nice, clean move. Gives them plenty of room coming off the turn as well. It's far too kind. So Isaac Fletcher, heaps of racing room provided there. And so they've gone ding-dong for three corners now. And not a bit of rubber carved up down the side of those race cars. So really good driving by both those guys. And obviously well on the groove, the balance and used to how the car drives. So they're driving it well within their means and doing a good job, obviously recognising there's only a couple of laps to go, so they don't want to be dragging any front or rear wheels or wings off these things, trying to get back in one piece. As we see the Mitchell Sparrow entry running P3rd, so 14 laps off the lead. Only got a very small margin for the guys behind him, so eyes forward and try and open that gap up for young Mitchell. It'll be good to see him on the podium.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tony. But he's got to worry about Paul Dowdle. But I think Isaac Fletcher is a lap down, and he's doing a great job of making sure Mitch Sparrow gets on the podium here. They're having a fantastic battle here, but it's definitely not what Paul would be after, as he was putting a bit of pressure on that final podium spot. But hey, that's the thing with racing is you're free to race, and Isaac's putting his head down, and he's actually got really good speed. So it's a shame he got caught up earlier on in the race. But on the final lap now, Jaden Ransley out in front, 5.5 seconds over Zane Hill. So as Jaden approaches the final corner, unless he gets tangled up with the lap, what I'd be doing is I'd be ripping out that R clip, taking off the steering wheel, waving the steering wheel to the crowd as I pass over the finish line. So fantastic, 4 wins in a row now for Jaden. So in our KartSport entry, Zane Hills comes across the line in second, Mitch Sparrow third, but the battle in the middle of the pack is still on here, isn't it, Chris? With Stuart Bovey
Yeah, it is, and it's getting quite interesting the last few corners, and I guess the guys trying to make their last lap lunges, and we see some contact there. Who's that coming back on? Yep, that's all clear though. But oh no, we got two on
Oh,
the fence.
that's not so clear.
Missed
There's
that.
our
We
steward.
missed that. Yeah. So he'll be wanting to give it a black flag, I gather, after that.
Yeah, that's big shame there for Simon because he was running inside the top 15, so we can see him dropping down the order, pressing escape. He's out of there. Travis Smith's got all four wheels back on his car there. He's been hosting the events for us, so good to
Come
see
back through
Travis
to 11. Yeah.
have a good position there, finishing up in 11th. So driving around with no doubt a broken wrist and a fractured leg after his accident in the first race. So Shane McLeod, here's your driver, Chris.
He is 16,
25 laps.
16.
Good effort
Yeah,
by
that's
him.
good. Good effort for sure. He's same deal, not been in the sim racing very long now, and got on the hype of iRacing and doing more and more events. So no, he's looking good. He's getting stronger. So it's all time you put in the seat in these things, you just get faster and faster.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, as we said, fantastic effort by Jaden Ransley. Fair flogged everyone, to be fair. And you can't beat testing, as we've said in the past.
Yeah, he didn't have it all his own way at the start of the race, but it just shows, where his focus at. He did his fastest lap, 25 lap race. He did the fastest lap of the race on lap 24. So fantastic effort by him. So he takes out the win for race 2. Zane Hills, great effort, P2. Mitch Sparrow, even better job probably in P3. So he's made plenty of progress in the races tonight. Paul Dowdle, another good showing there by Ashton Phipps. A top 5 entry for finish for him, so he'll be happy. Then it's Dan Patrick, Leo Scott, Zach Blinko got caught up in a bit of action tonight. Daniel Harvey, Jackson Harvey, and Stuart Bovey rounding out the top 10.
So, yeah, brilliant result there, as we said, for Travis Smith, one of our KartSport hosts. So, coming in 48 seconds off the lead, but good effort for Travis nonetheless. And P.
Cool. So, and Oscar Goldfinch in 13th, Stephen Beaumont 14th, Shane McLeod 15th, Simon Burns, Mark Roberts, Andrew in one lap down with Isaac Fletcher, who we saw battling his way back at the end, and a liquid accident entry of Arthur Brown in the top 20, also a lap down. Brad Winslick, good showing in the first race, not so much the second one, unfortunately. Corey Green, Aaron Black, Aaron Harris, Ryan Bailey doing a great job there in the race tonight, 25th. Ollie Workman, 26th. Braden Snowden, who's been pretty fast over the past few weeks. Not his night tonight, 4 laps down. Darren French and Darren Aylesbury in 30th, a further 9 laps. Fortunately, not gone the way for him. LJ Stevenson, Gareth the Wemixton, Nathan Krang, Sam Dunstall, and Jeremy 24 laps down. So tail in the field there. Not the nights they would have liked, but they'll come back next week. So I think we may have just lost TC there, but
Overheating problem
Chris,
again, I
thanks.
think,
Yeah, overheating problem with his phone. So the action's been too hot. But Chris, fantastic action tonight. Great to have you along. What was your thoughts on the racing tonight?
No, I think it was pretty good in that respect. There was heaps of good little battles going on there, and definitely these cars made a good sight for everyone, I think. And although there was some crashes, I think the racing was probably better than that. So no, it was good to see, and 2 good races there tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So remember, you've obviously done a little bit. I mean, are there any some track or car suggestions that you think would be a good fit for our iCarts?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much content on here. So I mean, maybe you have to look at some sort of oval racing because you get some pretty good slipstreaming races going on there. Whether that's an option, I've really enjoyed the oval stuff lately. I've been doing a little bit of it, and yeah, you can have some really good battles with that and some long races, and add the pit stop in there, adds another element to it. But yeah, there's so much content on iRacing which generates some really good racing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And mixes up, keeps all, everyone on their toes as well, doesn't it? Keeps them all, new cars, new tracks, and being nice and diverse in terms of that.
To
It,
find
it
something that
doesn't
Jaden's not
really
good at.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So thanks for got a few guys here for interviews, so we'll just drag them in now. So Mitch, really good effort tonight in that race too. Came away with P3. You must be fairly happy with.
Yeah, it's been an awesome opportunity to jump on here with the likes of Jaden Ransley and stuff like that, and I've taken it in and learnt so much over the last 3 weeks that I've been on here, and yeah, a bit of testing and a bit of luck, and yeah, I've ended up here.
Yeah, exactly. Because from memory, you got your simulator just before, was it Lime Rock with the MX5s only a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think the afternoon of Lime Rock and MX5 I got it.
Yeah.
Had some technical issues that night, and then a bit of testing from then, and we've been going good.
Fantastic. And do you want to tell our viewers that are watching tonight what sort of so you do a bit of go-karting, what class you run in, and maybe the type of chassis you run, and that, so people out there who are watching can keep an eye out for you in the future.
I race junior Rotax. I think it's my second year in it this year. I race for Lascom Motorsport in the CRG Heron, and number 71. So had some good luck last year. Hopefully can do something this year.
Yeah. Oh, well, good luck, mate. It must be pretty cool to be obviously racing junior max, but being able to race guys like Jaden, who's obviously doing great things in cars at the moment. So, mate, well done tonight, P3 in race 2. Well done, and we look forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Good job, Mitch.
Yeah. And Chris, I think we've got Zane here. Do you want to have a quick chat with Zane?
Yeah, mate. Yep, all good. Hey, Zane, you there?
Yep, sure am.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good race, mate. What do you think of that one, and how were the 2 races tonight for you?
2 races were pretty good. 15 laps for the first one, 25 for the second one. Pretty good distance for a race. In the first one I got forced off the track in the last lap, which was not exactly ideal. I was in third and then finished fourth, but it was pretty close. It was very tight, good battles and stuff. So yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it looked like, especially the start of the second race, you were there and not letting Jaden get away that quickly, and good battles there. And what happened to sort of drop back a little bit? Was there any issues, or did you get caught with lap traffic, or what was the deal?
Some of it was partially lap traffic. Half of it was just Jaden was pretty quick. He pulled away after I got out of the draft, and yeah.
Yeah, it's so critical, isn't it, here with to stay within that draft zone, to not let them sort of break away.
Yeah, you gotta stay in that draft, because if you don't get as much draft, they just pull away.
Yeah, exactly. No, good job though, man. Good job.
Cheers, thank you.
Excellent, team. So a couple of little interviews there. Good to drag people in straight fresh after the finish of the race. So fantastic night's racing, certainly from my end. I think the Skip Barber Formula 2000 certainly gets my vote, and we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Keep an eye on the various Facebook pages and what have you, and we'll keep you up to date with where we'll be running next, what we'll be doing it in. Obviously, big thanks, Chris Vandriff. Thanks for joining us tonight, mate.
Yeah, no worries. It was a pleasure, and good to see this side of it. And I think I'll try to get back to racing again next time and see if I can be quicker than these guys and get a podium spot at the end.
Yeah, excellent. As soon as you finish off here, mate, you jump straight back on that sim, mate. Do some practice, because I think you'll need it to beat young Jaden.
He looks pretty fast, and someone's got to stop him, eh?
Yeah, that's right. So, no, it's been great having you, mate. Good to catch up. Known you for a hell of a long time, and spent years racing against you overseas and what have you. But it's good to, as we said, be on the other side and do a bit of commentary. It's been great. So, and obviously, usual suspect Simon Evans as well joining us tonight. So, big thanks to our sponsors. Liquid Action for our 8-week program here on KartSport. Tony Hurst Cook Straight Crossings. Keep an eye on that Trade Me auction ends tomorrow, team. And obviously our other partners, Skill Track Group and Carter's Tyres. Look forward to you joining us next Tuesday night from a new venue and maybe a new formula as well. So thanks, team. Signing out, and we'll see you in 7 days.
this is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys, I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God!